All right, just getting going here. We'll, all right, just getting going here. We'll be ready to go in just a moment. As soon as I get a couple more things set up. So we're just gonna slap that on here. Um, and need to get that formalized a little bit, I think, because that's not a good look right now. But we'll be doing some miniature painting here in just a moment. Get a little bit of getting a little bit of a late start from what the schedule says. Unfortunately, I do apologize for that, but we'll be there shortly. Um, hold on, please, just one moment. Okay. Oh, oh, uh, uh, okay. Okay. Little scuffed here, but we're gonna we're gonna be getting going here. And just gonna turn those off. And here we go. So before we actually get going with the miniature painting, just gonna quick review of the schedule. Uh, you know, tomorrow, 2 o'clock, same time as now, we'll be playing a little bit of Wargroove. Friday, 1 o'clock, so a little bit earlier, we're gonna have another art stream. Not quite sure what that's gonna be exactly. Saturday, we'll be playing a little bit more Wargroove around 2 o'clock. That's all in Mountain Daylight Time. So base that off of whatever your time is, 2 o'clock being right now. Um, anyway, let's get going, shall we? Transition. So today we'll be painting up this guy here, and let's see if I can get the camera to focus on him real closely, just for a moment. Get the lighting just right so it'll focus. Maybe. Uh, almost had it. I want to get a close-up shot on of him. Unfortunately, this camera does not like doing close-ups, so hey, there we're going. Okay, that's kinda okay. It's not perfect, but you'll get the idea, I think. Unfortunately, without until we get like a little bit more solid. Hey, hey, there we go. That's what we were looking for. Until we get a little bit more solid coloring on the edges and stuff, he's going to be a little hard to get for the camera to focus on. Once we get some of that coloring in on him, it'll look a lot easier. So, without further ado, let's get going. Guy's got a nice little vest there and whatnot. Need to pull out my brushes here. Just a couple of them. And this one. As well as, let's get this one wet too. All right. So I think I'm going to start here. Wait, this is not the one I wanted. I want this one. So yeah, we're gonna start here. Get the skin tone in on his face. Probably throw down another coat on his jacket so it's a little whiter. Another coat on his pants here. There were just a couple of kind of very basic coats there used to denote what color I wanted things to become, but not actually enough to color it. So we're gonna throw those down and we'll take another look here in a moment. So how you guys all doing today? You having yourselves a good day? No, I'm having a decent day. It's nothing too exciting. Did a little bit of programming this morning, worked on another miniature commission. I can actually show you the other miniature. It's not ready to actually paint, so I'm not going to be painting it today on stream. But it I need to pick up some paint thinner for it. to get some of the stuff it shipped with on anyways. But this here is the miniature that I got commissioned to paint. It's, as you can see, it's quite big. But uh, it's the miniature shipped pre-primed, and they put a really, really thick coat of primer on it, which get has hidden a lot of the important details on the miniature. So I'm having to scrape off all the primer and get the primer, and they didn't bother to like actually clean the mold seams before they primed it. So I have to scrape off all the primer, then clean the mold seams, and then I can finally get around to painting that. So I might paint that on stream at some point, but it it'll be a ways out until I can get the paint thinner to get rid of that primer and then fix up the mold seams and stuff. Anyway, let's get back to our little dude in the suit here. I'm just gonna get a nice dark coat of paint here on his pants so that we have a solid base coat to work, solid opaque base coat to work with. Hide all the primer and stuff. And let's see. So, anyways, I'm to some degree this is gonna be a bit of a me just chatting about stuff. I know as some of you repeat visitors might know, I mentioned I was going to a convention this weekend. That was pretty nice. It was Colorado Anime Fest, a pretty small convention, all things considered, but you know it is what it is. Coming out of the pandemic, being able to go to conventions at all is pretty nice. I used to go to a lot of conventions, so it it was disappointing when they all shut down for a couple of years. But, you know, it is what it is. Things are starting to get to open back up. We're seeing conventions again, so going and enjoying those. You know, there's a few interesting things there. Got to watch a couple anime that I haven't seen in years in the video room. Just watch the first couple episodes because that's real fun, and then they transitioned to other stuff. Saw a fun panel on a local festival here. There's a what we call the Dragon Boat Festival here in Colorado. And there there were representatives from the Dragon Boat Festival there at the con. That was cool to see. They talked about it and were like, "Yeah, this is a real cool thing. If you ever get the chance, you should come check it out." They get like an absolute insane number of people. They were like 150,000 people or something, which oh boy, that's like the entire population of Denver shows up to that festival. I don't even understand where they get that many people. That's insane how many people there. How do you even count that many people? It's a free festival. They don't like gate the stuff at all or anything. Anyway, doesn't doesn't really matter. We'll show you the pants here again real quick. Yeah, you can see the pants are starting to get a fair bit darker. The and show a bit better, so that's good. Um, anyway, while I was there, I bumped into an old friend, and they're like, "Yeah, I've been playing Arc Knights lately, and I've been real upset with Fate lately." And I was like, I kind of haven't been enjoying Fate Grand Order much lately myself, so maybe I'll give this Arc Knights thing a try. Anyways, I've been playing that the last couple days, so that's been cool. I've reached level 31 or something. Started playing Saturday evening, and I don't know. I guess it's 4 days. Getting 31 levels in Arc Knights in 4 days. I is that too much grinding? Is that just? It's probably fine. Doesn't really matter. Um, but yeah, that's been fun. I played Arknights a couple of years ago, like before the English release. I loaded up an emulator and got an opportunity to play Arknights on the Chinese server ages and ages ago. I just need to grab a little bit more black paint here. That's it. Yep. So but it's been cool going. Oh, that's surprisingly dry. I might need to go buy more black paint here soon. I don't know if it got left slightly cracked open or something, but that's not good. I probably should get like an eyedropper or something, I think, for my painting kit. It never dawned on me that I might need one, but I've done this process a surprising number of times of just put drops of water into the paint and hope we can revive it. Just kind of leaning over, shaking right now. There we go. Maybe it'll revive some. What do we got? Oh, yeah, I think that might be revived enough to actually get usage out of it. Good. Yeah, that'll work. It's not amazing, but it'll get the job done. Definitely gonna have to buy some more black paint here soon, though, because I don't know how many times I'm gonna be able to revive, like, how much more paint I can get out of that particular jar. There's definitely a lot that's congealed solid. I might be able to get a little more if I, instead of water, tossed paint thinner in there, but, ugh, it's a toss-up. Uh, Hard to say, though. Anyway, back to Arknight. So that's been a lot of fun. I did my little starting rolls. I got a Angelina for my starting character, my starting 6 star. So that was pretty cool. I rolled on the current banners for until I hit the guaranteed 5 star. Because in Arknights, on every single new banner, within your first 10 rolls, you are guaranteed to get at least one 5 star. So I did those just so I had a couple of 5 stars to start with, and had something to use. I ended up with a lot of supporter characters because I got Angelina as my 6 star, then I got Paraminx as one of my 5 stars. I got let's see, who else did I get as a 5 star? I got hmm, it was another supporter. I'm blanking. I'll Doesn't matter. Um, but the point is I have a lot of supporters, and it's another D-cell supporter. I can't remember who. It's the 5 star D-cell supporter. But maybe one of them. There might be multiple. But end of story is, I have a lot of characters that I don't really know that all fill the same niche there. Uh, I did get some other useful characters though, 5 star wise, because they got a couple of selected. They have 2 selected tickets. So one of the selected tickets, I grabbed Liskarm, great defender. When I played on the Chinese server, I used her a bunch. Like, she was one of my favorites. Right. In my initial 10 pull, when I got like the very initial 10 pull there, uh, I I got Meteorite, who super good unit. Like, honestly, I think she's one of the best 5 stars in the game. She deals incredible amounts of damage, has incredible range on her. Uh, the only downside is she is expensive to deploy, but man, is she worth it once she gets out? Because even though she's a physical damage dealer, she's got defense shred on her, so basically nothing. She can deal high physical damage even to things with high armor, which is frankly invaluable in a lot of situations, as it means there's nothing that she can't hurt, pretty much. Um, so that's fun. That's been fun. Oh, I did also get Neryl. Neryl being quite quite a cutie, one of the healing paladin characters. Um, anyway, uh, so that's been fun. We're working away through a bit of Arc Knights. Let's see, cleared the first two chapters. There's been a lot of improvements since I played the game. Because it's I guess the last time I played it was probably like 3 years ago, and so like for one, they give you a couple of pick a tickets, pick a character tickets, which geez, that helps a lot early on because it lets you pick characters to fill niches that you didn't roll successfully. So I was also able to get Lapland. She's a she's a bit of a basket case. Geez, let's see. Um, what else? So yeah, that's been Arc Knights. Other than that, things have been just kind of chilling. I didn't get my illustration stream in yesterday, and I do apologize for that. I wish I had. Um, the the piece that I'm considering painting, and the reason I didn't is some stuff had just come up that I had to take care of, and I by the time I would have started the stream, I was already looking at it being a very, very, very short stream, like, it would have topped out at, like, an hour or something by the time I got around, because I would have had to start it super late at, like, 4 o'clock instead of 2, which is when I thought I was gonna be able to, but I didn't get back home until 2 hours later, so whatever, that happens sometimes. Anyways, um, yeah, so I had to cancel that, but I will get an art piece done shoved into the schedule for next week, or at least a painting sketch. And we do have the art stream on Saturday this week. Saturday? Friday. Friday. We have an art stream on Friday this week, so I will make sure that I can probably start the painting that day. Um, well, that or I might do like some game development. Like I could do 3D modeling for you guys. That might be pretty cool. I haven't done anything in Blender yet, which I do enjoy doing me some 3D modeling. I'd I'd have to double check that OBS works well with Blender, but I don't because I don't know. Some programs OBS can struggle a bit with, so I'm gonna have to make sure that it doesn't struggle with Blender. Uh, And when I say struggle a bit, I mean like it has trouble capturing the frame for whatever reason. It's nice that they got Photoshop so that it actually captures properly because it didn't used to. Instead of showing the canvas, because the canvas would be considered like its own separate window that you couldn't target with OBS. So you couldn't actually stream Photoshop very easily. You had to do some kind of funky workarounds to stream Photoshop before, but they have gotten that fixed. So hopefully they'll keep making improvements and it'll be good. I just hope Blender doesn't have a similar problem because nowhere near as many people stream Blender as stream Photoshop. So if it has a similar problem, there's going to be a lot fewer people who've gone out of their way to try and fix it. Anyway, let's I want to get this guy's face painted. I'm gonna grab some of just kind of this middle pink skin tone. It's a good base skin tone, honestly, no matter what skin tone you're painting the individual as. Like it it gives a nice warmth being an undercoat for any skin tone, being that it's a nice pink color. So we're gonna start with that. We'll get in there, do this. Actually, give me a moment. I should probably put my glasses on. I don't need them for a lot of parts of painting miniatures, but doing faces, the super, super fine detail work, having the glasses can help. Looks like they're a little smudged, unfortunately, which, geez, okay, give me a second. Oh my god, that is super smudged and dirty. I have to clean that. Don't know how they got this dirty. And it's like weird tendrily lines over them dirty. Not like, it's not like dust accumulation dirty. It's like something alien dirty. I don't know. I'll figure out why that's going on. All right. Glasses on and ready to get going here again. So let's just see here. We're gonna get this guy's face very carefully. Gotta get our undercoat in there. I want this guy to have like a nice dark black hair. So we'll do that here in just a minute too. Get inside that ear there. Oh, sorry, I was a couple inches off. I was under the light, which the camera is attached to the light, but it's kind of in front of the light as opposed to directly underneath it. See how close I can get to the camera, see if it'll focus while I'm painting, maybe? Maybe? Probably not. This is not a particularly good camera, unfortunately. Like it really wants to focus way farther out than it should because it wants to be a face cam, and that's basically all it's built for, and doing miniature painting is much closer in than that. But I think I can get something sometimes. Maybe. Maybe we're just getting a bunch of frickin' bloom, but here, I can do the thing where I go like, hey, there's nothing to see further out, so zoom in. There we go. Yeah, so you can start seeing he's taking shape. I'll go in and do his mustache and beard here in just a second, and that'll start to pop that. When we do another close face shot, you'll see those really stand out. Good, good. Let's see. Actually, he doesn't have a. He only has the like ring around his mouth facial style. I was painting up the chin, up the side of the jaw a little bit, but there's nothing there, so may have to repaint just a touch. But, sorry, there was a chunk of painting sponge. My sponge is a little old and it's starting to get a little crumbly, so sometimes a bit of sponge gets stuck to the paintbrush. We'll this guy's Beard nice and painted. It'll pop it off of him more clearly. Do, 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 do. This is a super high detail resin miniature, which I enjoy painting those. They're fun. I would call them a challenge because like the metal miniatures are cool and all, but because of how chunky the details have to be cat for the mold to work, you can't um they're not particularly challenging to paint. Like you don't have super fine details on them typically. Or if you do, the details are kind of texture as opposed to actually distinguished details. I'm not sure I'm communicating the idea particularly clearly, but it's like you don't put like you'll put a very rough idea of a beard in, and the beard will be really chunky, like super big, but it won't. But if you actually looked at it if you actually enlarged it to scale, it it would look nothing like a beard. Whereas the resin miniatures hold a fine enough detail that if you enlarge them to scale, they'd look like just a human-sized statue with with normal human features, not ropes of hair 6 inches thick for a representing a single strand. Mhm. So yeah, I definitely like the resin miniatures for that sort of stuff. Mm. All right, almost done with this guy's mustache goatee combo. Don't know what that's called, but I'm sure it has a particular facial hairstyle has a name. I'll get a nice clear shot of the face here. Come on, focus, focus. There we go. Working on it. It's trying. The light's a little bright. Um, so I move my thumb down and block right there. Yeah, you can kind of see it now. Get a clear shot of the beard. You can see how it outlines. Let's go back and get the hair on the head, make it match the beard. Let me grab my black again. Just add a little bit more to the tray there, so I don't run out. And we're gonna just start here real close to the facial line. And again, I do apologize. My camera is not very good. I really do wish it was better, so I could show you what I was doing here proper like. All right, pry that up, pry that up. Oh, sorry, when I say pry that up, what I'm doing is I'm touching the brush right to the hairline and then just kind of sliding upwards along the hair length of the hair so it gets it so I can very carefully make the hair dark along the hairline without actually accidentally painting the face at all. There we go. He's starting to look a little darker, and you can start seeing some of the features are showing up a little bit easier from a little bit farther away now too. Camera might even start focus. Oh yeah, the camera is starting to focus even better on him. And that's just going to keep improving as we keep working on him. So let's keep going. Get a little bit of red here. We're going to give him a red tie. Just because I feel like a red tie is a cool tie. You know, I am Akaoni, so the red tie is the tie. Red is the best, so we are going to, in fact, give him a little bit of the best color. Just a little bit, though, because he's not the best. He only gets to have a sampling of the best, not the full thing. A tasting, if you will. Grab just a little bit of this kind of pink red I have. We can use that to. It's a bit darker. It works well as a base coat in like purples and reds, and I'm gonna use that to enhance the get in there for the cracks around the tie and stuff, so that it can be a base coat and make the cracks dark because it has a little bit of that blue tint, so it makes a good shadowed red, if you know what I mean. When you have colors in shadow, they tend to get a tiny bit of a blue tint to them, and so having this red be slightly on that blue spectrum will help the shadows be shadowy, and then I can put a very bright, vibrant red in on the most prominent parts of the tie, where they would catch the light the easiest. So, yeah, typically when I'm painting a miniature, I will paint things the shadow color first and then add a highlights on top of it, just because I personally find that's the easiest way to do it, because the shadows are typically the deepest crevices on the miniature, and the highlights the highest bumps on the miniature. So you generally don't need you need more control to paint the it brightest to darkest than you do darkest to brightest, at least in my opinion. So it just makes it a little bit easier to paint it darkest to brightest, because you can paint all the cracks super dark first and move up to the peaks, which are very easy to get at as they are, standing up as peaks. All right, tie is almost done. Now there's a few things in and around it that I think I'm going to need to bring black in, because he's got his white shirt here, but up at like, no, I'll zoom in again so you can really see. And yeah, so up like at the collar where the tie meets the shirt, I need to make sure that there's some black in there so that the tie really can stand out of out from the shirt. And I'm going to need to make sure that against the shirt and the vest, there's some nice black shadows to highlight the difference there. So that's what I'm going to work on next here. And I know I just went, hey, having that kind of blue tint is good for doing shadows. When it comes to really, really deep shadows where two surfaces are meeting, I almost always will go pretty black or pretty close to black for miniatures. You don't want to do that when painting like a canvas, but when you're painting a miniature like this, the object itself is so small that when viewed by a normal person sitting on a table, if you don't paint your shadows, your what is that? Your ambient occlusion shadows very close to black, you lose detail. It becomes very difficult for normal people to see the detail of the miniature. So by painting all my ambient occlusion shadows super, super black, it lets me keep all that detail easily visible to the naked eye of your average individual. But then I can use kind of blued shadows to indicate the curvature of the surfaces of various pieces. So, as the tie curves around and some parts are pointing more upward where the general light source is, and some parts are pointing more forward, I can use the bluish shadowing to indicate forward versus up towards the light source. Do just a highlight here under his collar. That'll be good. And I'll show you him real quick. And yeah, you can start seeing how much easier it's picking up the shapes. The camera's focusing in on him and picking up the shapes than over how it was doing it before, because having more colors, having those edges more defined gives the camera something to focus on. And again, that's just going to keep getting easier and easier as we go here. I think I'm going to actually come into the face a little bit and put in some shadows in the eye sockets. We're just going to do a quick black shadow there. I will come back later and do a dark skin tone shadow, a little bit of blues in there and stuff, that sort of thing. But by giving a dark eye socket shadow like so, you can start seeing the shape of the face. You guys will be able to start seeing the shape of the face much easier. Let me get the sides and back of the head, the hair on the sides and the back of the head, because those are still pretty white. Mhm. Or rather, they're still showing a lot of the primer. They just have that very, very thin coat on them. Let's see. We're gonna get that should be most of the hair. Oh, oh, oh. Careful, careful. There we go. So we can get another zoom in, and you can start seeing that hair is starting to stand out a little more correctly. The dude's looking pretty good. So let's. I think I'm gonna get his collar. Start bringing back the white of the shirt that stands out correctly, like it should. Might need to put a little more white on this tray. The white that's here, it appears to be largely dried up. Give me a second. There we go. Okay. Ah, beautiful. I don't know why, but my white bottle was having a lot of trouble last time I was working, but it seems to be good now. Like it was acting very clogged. I didn't manage to actually figure out how to clear the clog, but the clog seems to have worked its way to a place of a non-issue at this point. So I'm not going to complain, and I'm just gonna kind of keep going. Anyway, let's get this collar nice and white again. Now that we've done the shadow line under it, and I'll really pop those two to separate so that it looks more to the camera. It'll look farther away than it actually is, because the shadows will look more defined than they actually are. So the camera will have an easier time focusing on the miniature the more defined. And here, I'll show you what I'm doing with the collar. Start seeing how I'm bringing it nice and white there. I want them into a fancy white button up. Yep. That. Get a little more paint. And come back in here. We'll go around the back with just a thin coat here of the white to start us off. Clean up the collar. Give a little bit of the correct lighting. Okay, a little bit more. That's too much white. There we go. See here, just like that. And unfortunately, the camera's blooming again. Damn it. Rather, it's so unfocused, you guys are just seeing a bright white blob from the light being too bright for the camera. Oh well. I tried. I'm trying. I'm doing my best here, but until I get a better hand cam, this is the best I can do. I can show you what's happening there, though. You can see as we roll around how nice that coat and jacket and collar are starting to look. Hmm. I'm gonna get a little bit more paint and go and shadow in on the inside edge of the collar real quick, right next to his neck. Didn't do that the first time. I probably should have, because that's a pretty damn strong occlusion. I am gonna actually grab a dark skin tone here in a moment and come back over the black to blend it more skin tone shadow. It'll look a little less unnatural there. As skin has a lot of, how do you put it? Subsurface scattering. So you've got to make sure that you have a little bit of warmth in the skin whenever you paint shadows, as there's a tiny bit of that light that passes through the skin and body in and glows in the shadow area, in the shadowed area. Well, I say glows, but it's really pretty minor. Like you can't like observe it being colorful very easily, but it's one of those things that if you don't do it, it just things look dead. So you got to do it. But you can see this phenomena if you take, and you can't see it with my hands, but if you take your hand and you hold it up to a light bulb and you look through it, so you look through your hand at so like the light bulbs over here, and you hold your hand up, you'll see the red glow of your blood through being lit up through the thing, and that's the same sort of concept happening. It's just a very thin, obvious version as opposed to the subtle version that takes place all over the body all the time. It helps make you feel, warm and lively. Just get a little bit of that. Using a little bit of warm skin, a dark warm tanned skin tone here to help set the base again. And we'll come in and change the highlighting to actually define this individual's skin tone as being a bit whiter here in a moment. But we got to get the undercoats to we paint the undercoats very carefully with several different specific layers to convey warmth on through the overcoat as we paint it. Because if you don't, it people look dead and lifeless, and you just don't want that. Like that doesn't work out at all for anyone. Let me move that slightly. I want to put that there. Uh, Mostly as a denotation of where I can hold the miniature and keep you guys seeing it. 'Cause the last thing I want is for me to be doing a whole bunch of work on and streaming and talking about this, and you guys can't even see what I'm doing. Like that would be embarrassing. Good. Let's get here up on his brow a little bit more colored. Uh, Here on the side of his nose needs a little bit more. The that side of a person's nose is a real tricky one because it can catch light in several different ways depending on the shadow, and it often has a lot of subsurface going on. Noses are just really hard to paint well because they have a lot of thin geometry and it's semi-translucent geometry, so they got a lot of subsurface and stuff on them too. It's makes them a real pain. Anyway, rambling on that done. Ears have the same problem for the record. He's starting to get his correct skin tone or the correct undertone there, so I can soon I'll be able to work in some of the more appropriate. Gonna start painting his hands here. Actually, before I do, let me show you. Show you guys the dude. You can start seeing how much easier it is to see him because the camera's focusing better. I can even bring in way closer, I think. Can we get into focus? Wow, it looks really creepy with the way the lights. There we go. Oh, hey, yeah, if I just hold. Oh, no. Oh, shoot. Oh, bad. Oh, shoot. Good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But here, yeah. Let me get real close. We'll block out the light. The camera do its thing. Come on. There you go. You can focus. Focus, damn you. There's one thing taking up all the screen. There you go. Yeah, you can start seeing what I'm actually seeing. That's how I see it under the bright light. But obviously, when I have the bright light showing, you see that. So because the camera can't pick up the details as easily. Okay, so let's get a little bit of that white shirt painted. Do, 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 do. We're gonna get these sleeves painted up here. I swear, as much paint goes onto the miniature as goes into the water when I'm working, because I clean the brush probably more than I actually need to. Like, between every single visit to the palette, I will tap the brush into the water. Almost. Now, see, now I'm thinking about it, so I didn't that time. But generally, I do. Anyways, I need a little bit more water in the brush. And see, I guess I should have because I needed to get more water into the brush anyway, so that the paint would flow easier over the dude's shoulders as I paint them. Okay, elbow. And grab a slightly step the size of the brush up one here. So we can paint the arms and sleeves just a little faster. no point wasting my time by painting with the absolute tiniest brush in the world if I'm not painting the absolute tiniest features in the world. I can use a slightly bigger brush to paint slightly bigger features. No reason not. Oh, shoot. He dropped again. 1 second. Okay. Clumsy, clumsy me. Unfortunately, these gloves aren't helping that terribly. Like, I still have pretty good control, but it's little points that I'm like, could be slightly better without the gloves. All right, so let's get this part of the sleeve. Let me center again. Sorry. If I slide myself over some, that might help. My palette's kind of in the way here. There, that might help. Just gonna take a drink here real quick. Okay, better, better. Nice bitter coffee. Like only black coffee, no sugar, no cream, just black. It's the only way to drink it. I mean, honestly, I avoid the sugar and the cream because I think they diminish the taste of the coffee. They make it less. It does not taste as good. It turns it into like a milk candy flavor as opposed to the. And here, I'll just show you bitter. That bitter. How would I call it? Bitter, savory, chocolatey flavor. And savory might sound a bit weird there, but you got to realize we're only working with what, six flavors to really describe with it here in English, so or five-ish flavors: sweet, sour, salty, savory, um, bitter. That's weird. Sweet, sour, salty, savory, bitter. Why do four of those start with an S? Like what what's with bitter that it starts with a B instead of an S? Don't any of you guys go pointing out umami as being a different flavor? Savory is umami. Is umami. I don't I don't know why there's this trend of everyone calling savory umami now, but we've had the word savory in the English language to describe the flavor of savory things for frickin' ever. So So yeah, there's you can just call it savory. You don't need to people don't need to be going and correcting other people being like the flavor's called umami. It's only called umami in Japan. There we go. Okay. Yeah, let's paint up his vest at this point. I think a lot of the other parts are close enough that the vest is standing out as being the worst here. The least painted, so we're gonna work up his vest a fair bit. Mm. And the reason I switched back to the small brush for this part is because I'm trying to paint in the underarm area here. And I got to make sure I don't accidentally get his sleeve because that would not be ideal. And that slightly bigger brush is going to have a slightly harder time not getting his sleeve, even though it would do the vest in fewer strokes. I am going to grab a little bit of blue and a little bit of black off my board here, though, to start very carefully painting in a couple of these super heavy shadows on the vest. I'll show you here in just a moment what I'm talking about exactly. Because several places on this vest, there are super heavy folds, and this is the exact place where it's not an occlusion line so much as the vest casting a shadow onto itself from because it's folding over, which I guess is kind of the same thing, but it's not like a hard occlusion. It's a very soft occlusion. Anyways, I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a moment. And by doing that kind of black purple in those shadows, we can get that exact or black blue sort of tint. It's going to look a little better. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me clean the brush. There we go. Don't want the paint hardened. Okay. So, gonna block that out there. Good. Does focus? There we go. So yeah, you can see how the vest folds under his arm there a couple times. That is what I'm talking about. Like that is the perfect case for having a blue tinted shadow there, because the blue is going to indicate that that's shadowed but because it's shadowed and not like a super deep crevice shadow, you don't want full black. So having a blue-black mix in there instead is gonna be a bit better, and we can then pull a bit of the brown over that shadow and start blending them together. Over the edge of the shadow there, because it had the bottom edge was smoothed out rather than being full, and then the top edge was a much harder shadow. So we can worry about that here. Just gonna get a little bit of that. Kind of dark brown tones. That'll help me blend here at the edge just a bit better. Good. It's starting to get the right tones. I'm gonna get a little bit brighter tones. Start getting some of the highlights. Oop, little tiny chunk of something. There we go. We're gonna do the very bottom edge, but weirdly, because of the way it turns up at the bottom edge, I'm actually gonna be doing the bottom edge just slightly brighter than the rest. This is also gonna help it pop from the shadow on the occlusion shadow under it where the vest meets the pants. Let's get a little bit more. This is there we go. There we go. It's looking a little bright, honestly, from what I'm seeing. So I think I'm going to grab some of these slightly darker tones and pull it back the other way. There we go. Okay, okay. Mm-hmm. I need to pull out my brown paint set. One second. Get a little more of the deep browns that I'm running out of. There we go. Oh, that's way more than I wanted. But it just kind of bubbled out of the top, so I got what I got. Whatever. More than I wanted, but I'll use it eventually. I hope. Just gonna try and get some of this in with the real deep browns. Needed more water. There we go. Much better. Mm-hmm. Can use those deep browns to kind of help the coat marble and look like a proper leather vest. Or, I mean, maybe not necessarily leather, but it could be like a tweed or something. Get in there under the side am, or the side of the vest where we're going to need it to be a bit darker again. We might come in and bring a little bit of the shadow color in there, but for now I don't think we need to. It was just those folds that I really wanted to hit with the shadow initially. Good. Let's see. I think I'm going to bring in a little bit more of the slightly warmer brown. I'll show you. I've only been working on one half of his vest this whole time, so I'll show you that in just a moment. We'll see. You can see kind of the before and after from the left and the right. There we go. Yeah, you can see much cut out just enough light so that really stands out. Come on, straighten up. Straighten up, mate. There we go. Yeah, you can see the one side is kind of before. It's a little hard. The colors are looking a little washed out because again, the camera's not the best. But yeah, that's looking pretty good, all things considered. And you can start seeing a lot more details on your end because of how defined the paint's starting to get. So the camera's having a much easier time focusing on him. The camera really struggles focusing on them when they're kind of all just a matte gray white from the paint from the primer and stuff. But now that we're starting to get some proper coloring in, it's going to go a lot easier. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good, good, good. Ooh, that pulled a little hard. That it made harder edges than I wanted to on that last paint stroke. I wanted that to be a softer blend. Just got to go back and work that down real quick. Okay. I think I'm gonna give it white buttons here. Now, I know white is a weird choice for buttons normally, but the reason I'm doing white buttons is because the white buttons are gonna stand out and be easily seen whereas other colors won't be. And again, it's a case of this model is so small because, I mean, you can see it. The model is smaller than my thumb, like by a large margin. So the model is so small that if you don't make certain exceptions to highlight certain pieces, it becomes nigh impossible to actually see the details for normal people. Like you would set the model on a table and no one could see the buttons because the buttons would blend in with the jacket behind it. But if the buttons are white, you can set the model way back there, on the table, and people will see the buttons. I'll let you guys see that here. See, the camera is having a much easier time even. You guys can see the buttons. You can see the tie. I think I want to touch up the tie just slightly. Get a somewhat brighter red to touch off the front of it. That needs a bit of shaking. There we go. Shaken thoroughly. Get that onto the palette. Good. Run to the tie, oh so gently. And since we're only touching the very front, those kind of purpley bits the front and the upper facing, but we're being very careful to avoid even the slightest bit of the side there. It'll allow that purpley red that we were using earlier to act as to help indicate the curvature of the shadow as it wraps behind into the shadows. Good. I want to get a little bit more highlight in there, just a touch of yellow in this case, and I only mean a very small touch. I want it to be thin enough that it doesn't put down an opaque coat and can be somewhat in the orange spectrum right there for the peak of the highlights on the tie. You gotta make these coats super thin for this particular kind of task. It's quite challenging to get it exactly right. A lot of practice. Mm-hmm. All right. 1 second here. Very focus. Good. A little more yellow, because I need to do the knot on the tie. Get the highlight on that. Good. Just gotta blow on it a little bit, help that dry a little bit. And there we go. And yeah, that's looking good. At least I think it is. You can start seeing it from your side. And you can see how bright that tie is showing up compared to everything else. You can see the vest is starting to look a bit better. The white collar's showing up. Like all the details are really starting to pop as we work this guy more. And help get rid of that mattness that he had to him. I want to darken the line between the left and the right on the vest so it stands out just a tiny bit more real quick. That'll be the next big step. Okay. I think I'm going to darken the line between the vest and the sleeve next. Just to make that ambient occlusion line exist. So that those two feel separate instead of just a change of color on the same piece of fabric. Getting that ambient occlusion line will really help those two separate. And when you're dealing with a miniature, that is probably the single easiest tip I can use to be like, hey, to make things feel paneled and cool, don't forget your ambient occlusion lines. Wherever two surfaces meet, put a little black line there. It will, that by itself does so much to make a miniature feel better that it can, you can tell absolute amateurs from people who have had even a moderate amount of experience by whether or not they do occlusion lines. And occlusion lines are so important that different miniature painters even have different styles of how they do their occlusion lines. Like some people will do all of their occlusion lines in uh, specifically brown, or some of them will do always do theirs in very specifically black, or some of them will always do never do theirs in black because black never shows up in nature, and even though it does. But point being, different artists do occlusion lines are so important that you can have styles of occlusion lines. So, don't skimp on your ambient occlusion for miniatures. It is so important to making the miniature pop and stand out. Mm, hmm. Just gonna get in here and paint there behind that shoulder, behind the shoulder. Um, get in here under the arm. Good, good. A little more under the arm. A little more there, I think. A little there. Cool. So, yeah, we'll show you in again. Come on, camera. You can do it. I know you can. You've done it. There you go. There you go. Yeah, and you can see how that arm's standing off from the vest. He's starting to you start seeing how round it is and stuff like that. Starting to really look proper, like an actual painted miniature. As long as I can keep the glare from the ultra bright light from shining directly on it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going here. I'm gonna occlusion the cuff. And this is an interesting case because, like, some people would say you don't want to do an occlusion line on where the cuff meets the sleeve, but I personally do like to do occlusion lines where things like the two panels of a shirt meet, or the cuff of a shirt meets the sleeve, or stuff like that. I I think it just helps the fabric itself stand out more. Um, it lets the viewer it how should I say? It puts detail there that the eye expects, that helps it feel real, even if you wouldn't actually see the detail in that boldly on the object. Like looking at these gloves, there are stitching lines, like you can see them, they're there, but the general shape of the glove, it just moving about, unless you're looking for the stitching lines, is they're not that prominent. But and the same things with like a white shirt. But if you don't put the occlusion line because you wouldn't see it because it's too small, it looks flat. Like the miniature looks like it doesn't have the detail it should have, at least in my opinion. Other people say it makes the miniature look a little cartoony. You know, to a degree, I guess I can see what they mean by that, but I I feel like cartoony and stands out as easy to see and understand what's going on. Like cartoony and fun and entertaining is more important than perfect realism, in my opinion. You know, art's about capturing the feeling of something, not about literally capturing it. If you just want to literally capture it, just take a freaking photograph, mate. Like, it'll do a better job. Anyway, and let's see. Yep, just slowly working away at the sleeve here at this point. Got to make sure it's looking good. What time is it? It's 3:20. Okay. Probably go for another 40 minutes, see what we get done in that time. I got some other stuff I got to take care of today, so this isn't going to be the longest stream, unfortunately. Let's try and do another 40 minutes. Mhm. Uh, yes. Oh, hey, look at that. When it's kind of hard to see on this old paper towel, but I can start seeing, but you guys can start seeing the miniature actually like in getting focused on by the camera as I'm painting now. It's got enough detail the camera notices it as a thing. Wow, that's actually incredible. I wasn't sure if that was going to happen at any point. When I'm painting it down at my looking level. So yeah, let's get some warmth here on the hands. Do, 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 do. Um, there we go. We're gonna get that in. Good. I think we're gonna need to get some of that black blue and highlight the folds on the sleeve, or sorry, shadow the folds on the sleeve, I should say. Uh, so a little bit of the blue, a little bit of the black, a little bit more of the blue, a little bit of water, a little bit of blue, a little bit of black, a little bit of blue, a little bit of black. There we go. And just a couple quick strokes in just the right spots so that we can darken the folds with the calm blue shadows. Do the tuck under the arm with the same blue as well. So as we that is a place where that blue is going to be a very that slight blue tint is going to be a very prominent part of the shadow. Is as it goes on the inside of the sleeve towards the where the sleeve is facing the body, and that's all shadowed. That's all definitely going to have that blue tint to it. Let's get a little more of that blue black, just a little bit more, and we will paint more of that in between the body and arm. There we go. And I'll pull them in, and you can see what I was talking about. One second. Cut off the bright light and see if I can get it to focus. Focus, please focus. There we go. Yeah, so you can see how I painted the inside of the arm there closer to that black with some of that blue black so that it's has that shadow, and if we turn him over, you can see more of it on the back of the arm. Whereas on the turn him to the outside edge, it's pretty white there. And that helps get that look of the jacket, or the not jacket, but white button up as having shadows across it as it turns. And I will go in and, now that we've got the base coat in, blend it in with, or rather take some white and very carefully blend it across the surface the other direction so that you can, or not you, but so that a viewer, it looks like shadows to them as opposed to just weird splotches of paint. It's to enhance the shadows of the miniature more than anything, because there are, like, if it's just sitting there on the table, the miniature will have natural shadows from just light being cast across it and stuff. But by painting shadows ourselves, we can enhance the look of the shadows as they crawl across the miniature in any light. Hmm. Good, good. Hmm. Couple. One spot on his shoulder. The white is not quite. It's not taken as well as I would like. Like, it. The coats go on. They don't. But the gray resin of the miniature underneath is still showing through the primer and the coats of white, and it's just not quite taken like I'd like. Mhm. There we go. It's gonna help that some. Come in here and very carefully touch a couple spots in the armpit to highlight the folds. Good. That's looking good. That's looking good. And hit that shoulder spot again because it's still not quite where I'd like it to be. We'll come in here on the back of the arm and pull white across the shadow so it gradiates it very slightly. Okay, just gotta blow it dry a little bit. There we go. There we go. Let's pull across these shadows very carefully again. Just trying to blend the edge of this shadow in so it's feels a little more rounded, feels a little less harsh. I might need a touch more white. There we go. A little bit more white on the palette. Good, good. Check that. Yeah, that's about right. And yeah, I know I'm painting these gloves. I'm used to working without gloves on, so I would paint my hands, and when I'm just painting my hands, it's not a big deal. Since I'm wearing the gloves, that paint's gonna stay there for a while. But I don't really care. They're old gloves. I don't wear them for anything else but this at this point. Mhm. Just hitting some of the highlights on the shirt, some of the highlights of the folds there. Paint. again, try and help blend the wraparound shadow just a little more. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Good, good. Hit that spot that's still not turning opaque. It's still not turning white. That's still showing a touch of the resin miniature through it all. Like it's definitely it's taking the paint. It's just the paint layer is not getting thick enough in that spot to hide it, and I don't know why. Like the paint's not rolling off the spot. It's staying there. It's staying there. It's just not taken as well as I would have expected given how well it's taking everywhere else. Okay. Ooh, it's scuffed again. Mm. All right. All right. There we go. That sleeve is starting to look about right. Like it's not perfect yet, but you know, what else is? There's only one thing in the world that's perfect. We're not talking about that right now, though. It's me. That I'm the one thing. Hit the elbow a little bit, because that's not quite white enough, defined enough. There we go. There we go. Get a little bit of those wrist cuffs. Good, good. Yeah. Okay. Now let's hit the back of the sleeve again and work on that blend just a little bit more, because it's still not quite smooth. Like it's getting close. It's getting close, but I do want that shadow blend to be quite smooth, very smooth. Ooh, there we go. That's probably going to be about right once that dries. Assuming it doesn't dry blotchy, that should do it. Gonna grab a drink real quick. Mm. Much better. A lot of talking. Dries the mouth out. You know, mate. Anyway, hitting the back of the arm here. Just very carefully. Touch, 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 touch. Touch, 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 touch. Yeah, I'm liking where that's going. So I think the arm, the sleeve there is pretty well done. I'll show you here in a sec. There we go. I'm gonna cut out the yeah. Oop, don't slide, please. Here. I can give a slight advantage. Haha. Make the. There we go. Come on, focus. Focus, focus. I know you can. You've done it before. Will you focus now? There we go. There we go. Haha! Look at that. Mm, you can see the fine details of this miniature as I carefully rotate it for your enjoyment. See how that sleeve looks? See how half the vest looks? The other half clearly is not done. That worked. Honestly, that little piece of tape there worked way better than I thought it would. Um, I did not expect that to work anywhere near that well. Like, that was an order of magnitude better than I thought it was going to work. Uh, anyways, let's keep working around. Jump back to the shirt collar because we never really finished that. We did parts of it, but did not get all the way around to the far side and whatnot, as I stopped a couple times to show you what I was talking about, and then came back to work on other parts. So we're going to actually finish the shirt collar right now. Well, maybe not finish, but push closer towards finished. That would be a better way to put it. As nothing is ever truly finished, it's just moved on from, at least in art, you know. Uh, oh, okay, whew. For a second there, I thought I might have accidentally wiped a bunch of white paint across his face, and that would have been really unfortunate. I do not want to do that. Mhm. Okay. Uh, let's just very carefully come in here, and we'll wipe that way. Hmm. 1 second. There's a spot on the collar that is just bothering me. It's not quite getting right. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. Yeah, it was a little hard to paint with my other hand there at that particular angle. I had to switch hands for this one. Just because, the miniature's arm was in the way of the collar from that angle, so switching hands is easier and get a nice clean coat there. Mhm. Okay. A little more white. Go back in. Let's do another coat. Right there on that collar, because there was a couple little spots that weren't quite right. There we go. There we go. That's starting to look right. Little spot there needed it. There. Mm-hmm. Okay. Get a touch more. Okay. Get that. Good. Good. Yeah, that's looking good. Color is nice and bright white there. Come in here and get this part of the collar. The front of the collar there. Might actually want to switch back for that because now the hand's in the way of paintbrush on the other direction. The miniature's hand, not my hand. So we can paint this part of the collar right here. There we go. And gonna swap, reach in, and pull. There we go. So that the color comes out nice and smooth. Blend that. Perfect. Let's see. We're gonna need some brown under some of the darker browns and stuff on the inside of the vest, under the arms. So let's get that real quick. We're gonna just start from the back where we've been working around. Kind of pull that in. Actually, I think I may try and work left-handed a little more often here, because hey, it's actually a little more comfortable to hold the miniature up closest to the camera when I'm painting with the left hand, as opposed to holding the miniature with the left hand. Oh, good, good, good. We can get some of those shadows in there. Um, Pull that through there. Mhm. We're just working on getting the dark brown tones in. We'll come back in a moment with some of the mid browns. Still in the camera range? I am still in the camera range. Sorry, I gotta double check that now and then because my arms drift around and I have a bad habit of sitting there pulling the miniature closer and closer to my face until it's, tapping against my glasses. That's not exactly what you guys want to be seeing because you'd be seeing a whole lot of nothing at that point. Anyway, just gonna pull that dark brown through there. Good. Hmm. Good. A little bit more. We're gonna hit the upper chest of the vest. Yep. Need a little more water. It's not quite going on as smooth as I would like. There we go. Hmm. Good, good. Gotta very carefully do the edge while we avoid the tie and the white shirt underneath. Good. Okay. Need to pull the. That do it that. Yeah. Let me switch hands for this part. Because again, we're reaching under that arm in a weird place, so we're gonna need to make sure we reach very carefully. So certain angles are gonna help more than others. Hitting the shoulder strap there. The vest, go up and over. There we go. Good, good. Let me just touch that there. Good. All right. Now we're looking at a largely dark tones are largely in place. I want a little bit more on that shoulder strap. Actually, it's not quite taken like I'd like. Good. And I want to reach in here and pull through just a little more. There we go. There we go. Let's get a little of those midtones in. We'll hit some of the more elevated places so we can start in on making highlights and whatnot like that for the vest. We're gonna hit that upper chest first and foremost, as that's going to be the most lit. So it's going to get the most of this mid-tone brown. Mhm. Good. A couple little spots, I think, need a touch up on the other side. Let's hit here. There we go. That's looking better. Good. Some of the mid-tone brown through here as well, right along the edge. Help pop that ambient occlusion line where the two sides of the vest meet. Gonna touch a couple little other spots there. Good. That looks nice. It's getting some of the real pulling some of the real warm colors in. Hit some of the light tones, a little light browns. The vest right in here. We're looking to just kind of find the peaks of the folds and just put a little tiny bit in there. Just as tiny bits of highlight. Mm-hmm. And I do mean just a tiny bit of this in. It's almost unnoticeable if you held it more than a half inch away, but without the highlights, it would look awkward. Like it would look flat, even though you really can't see the highlights in the most literal sense. You know what I mean? Like you don't look at the miniature and go, "Oh wow, I see those highlights. They really stand out." The highlights are super subtle, and you only will see the brush strokes, the highlights, if you're specifically looking for them. Yeah, clean the brush, and I'll show you the miniature. Wanna? There we go. Yeah, you can start seeing that guy is coming through pretty well. Yeah, that's looking good. That vest is looking pretty snazzy. Can show you the top there. And tip it to show you from below there. Look at that. Cool. He's looking good so far, I think. Hmm. Okay. Sorry, I just gotta stretch a little. The fingers are getting a little stiff. Mm, That it happens. Been sitting for 2 hours. That's very still. It's good to stretch. Shouldn't sit too long, super still. But here I am. Let's see. I guess we're doing the miniature's right arm. We did the left arm already, so let's do the sleeve of the right arm. Come up, 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 up. Hit the inside of this. Grab a little more white. Hit the inside of this again. And it's going to kind of flow in a weird manner so that the cracks get more white than they should. But we'll deal with that when we hit it with the shadow in a bit. We're just trying to get a base coat in to work with. We'll blend shadows later. Let's get the hand there. More paint. Let's get the hand some more. Some more. Oh. Eh. I never realized that's what that Girl Scout cookie was called. The Samoas? They're Samo, so, like as in some more as heh heh Samoas. 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 You know, kind of like how they got the tag-alongs and stuff. Samoas. Because you want Samoa of them. Those are like little cookies with the coconut dipped in chocolate and whatnot. They're not bad. They're not bad. Ah, this guy's looking rather pompous. I like it. That is exactly what I wanted out of him. I wanted him to look like an arrogant asshole. And he is living up to it. Look at the seat of his pant, or the front of his pants there, though. That the highlight there is unintentional. It's another one of those spots where the paint just isn't quite turning opaque, so you're seeing the resin miniature beneath it. A little bit. A lot more black this time. There we go. That'll hide it. That'll hide it. Make it a nice flat coat there. Okay. Yeah, let me get a little more black paint on my palette. Because I want to actually, I might do this straight from the bottle. I try not to paint too much straight from the bottle because it's risky. I mean, we touched the palette. Let's see here though. But what I'm about to do is paint the dude's eyebrows, so I really need to be nice and opaque, because the more passes I have to take, the worse they look. Good. Good. Sorry, not talking much while doing the eyebrows. I really gotta fucking focus for those. They're hard to do. They're very small. God, the hand is in the way. Damn it. Almost had him. All but perfect. The little spot I missed on the left eye where just a tiny bit of paint got onto the eyelid. Correct that here. A little bit that in. Mm, okay, that looks right, I think. So let me get show you his new eyebrows. There we go. Come on, focus. You can do it. There you go. You can see his eyebrows. Ah, blinded by the light. It looks really awkward with all the light coming from the bottom there, but you can actually see him pretty good. Maybe. Can we get a little bit? Maybe not. Might be a little too bright. But his face is starting to come in a little bit. There. It's a bit more accurate, I think, to what I'm seeing because you're only seeing the top light. Okay. It's coming along pretty well. However, it is about 4 o'clock here, so I think I'm gonna be ending the stream. It's been fun. Gla- Thank you for anyone who's come out to watch. Please give a hit the thumbs up, give a little one of those little heart things, the likes, the shares, the subscribes. They really do a lot. The channel's super small, so even if you like just completely ignore anything, hey, honestly, even if you want to give like a thumbs down, if you hated everything I did, give the thumbs down. YouTube likes the engagement. You throw a comment in there, even a comment being like a comment for the comment's sake, comment for the algorithm. It helps a lot. Anyway. I am Aka Onigiri, the strongest Oni around, and a really good painter too. But that's beside the point. I am signing off. I will catch all y'all later. Have a good one.